We're always very happy to be with you Monday through Friday night, 8:05 to 8:35, for that Refresher Royal Crown Cola and Diet Right too. And we welcome to the program tonight a very close friend of ours, although we haven't seen him for many, many years, and found out through the paper he was in Charleston or St. Albans for a brief stay. Former vocal teacher, Ben Alley. Ben, how are you tonight?
Well, I'm fine, thank you, Mr. McPherson.
We're so happy to be able to talk to you about telephone. I know that you've been very, very busy. Why are you in St. Albans now?
Well, we're here, of course, now because of my brother Fred's sickness. He's in the hospital now, and has just been operated on for a fairly serious operation. He's coming along fine now, and my wife and I are keeping house down here in St. Albans, the old home.
Are you living in Florida now?
Oh, yes, we live in Florida. We have been there now for 13 and a half years.
Mm-hmm. Before I get to about getting into what you're doing in Florida, I'd like to ask you, you started out early in radio, didn't you, Ben?
Yes, I did. I started out way back in the early 20s from Louisville, Kentucky. I made the first transatlantic test for WHAS in Louisville, and we reached Honolulu at that time, and that was a great feature in those days.
You say the first transatlantic test. What did you have?
Radio test to reach Hawaii.
How was this test? Just what did you do?
Well, I did a 30-minute program with a Hawaiian background of music of 5 pieces behind me, and I did many of the Hawaiian things and aloha and things like that, you know. And we were trying to reach them. We reached them nicely and had very wonderful requests from that program.
Did you do any other programs after that?
Oh, yes, I did many programs from WHAS, and of course I was director of one of the fine churches in Lexington, Kentucky, the first Presbyterian church there. And of course then after that I went into Cincinnati, and for years I was on radio, and I started out in on WSAI and was called the Bluegrass Tenor. And of course I got great publicity through the years, and then of course I did everything I could do in Cincinnati in radio, and I had some of the bigger churches there. I directed the Church of the Governors, they call it, the Walnut Hills Christian Church, and many of the governors of the state have been in that church through the years, including of course the late Morris R. Cooper, who was a very dear friend of mine, and sponsored me there on the air because he had a great real estate concern, of course.
Well, what made you get into radio, Ben? Did you feel that was the way to get your voice heard?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know, Mr. McPherson, I think it's like most everybody else. It's just a turn of events in life are strange and miraculous to us. I think in my career was a miraculous one in many ways, the way the things turned. It just simply turned up. My mother seemed to not want me to try the work of singing because it seemed to be too hard. And, of course, I don't know, I just was called from one place to another by good friends and former teachers, and they all had a great deal of faith in me and thought I had something, and I just got calls from here and there, and I got paid from here and there where I shouldn't have been paid probably, and just went on that way in life, and I just followed on through. Of course, when I got through in Cincinnati, why, I took off for New York, and, of course, I almost starved up there for a long while. And one of the things that happened in New York, Mr. McPherson, was after I had gone hungry for a long time, I got a job there with a male quartet, paid me $45 a week, and that was big money for a man with nothing to eat. Then, of course, I got into Texas Gunner's Padlocks, which was a Broadway show, and we had it closed, and of course, then it was put into vaudeville, and we had our own band and our own acts and everything. We had Harriet Hilliard, of course, you know, Rosie and Harriet. She was my ingenue in that show. We had 7 scenes together in that. And from that, my engineer from Cincinnati WSI, Mr. Paul Green, was out of a job down there, and I was in New York, and Bill Paley was looking for an engineer. So I told a friend of mine in New York about it, and they contacted him. The fellow became the head engineer of WABC, which is what it was then, CBS.
Now, what years was, do you remember what years?
Well, this years, 1929 and 30, in that area there.
You brought out something that you worked with Texas Ghana, and she was quite the showgirl of that era.
Oh, I see she was. She was
Tell us about her.
Well, of course, she was called the Hello Sucker Girl, you know. She had all the big boys, the big bankers, and everybody on her side. You know, those were what you call the probation days, Mr. McPherson, and Of course, there were many dens around the city there, and you could go in many places if you knew the right people and get your drinks. And, of course, the places operated all night, but they paid high. And, of course, Texas Gallons, she had one of these places, and it was called Texas Gallons Padlocks. And all the big men of the city came there, you see, and of course, the officials couldn't do much about it. They'd close her up, and they just go over bail and get her out and pay her a fine, and she'd go right back into it again. And they wrote a show about her.
Yes, I was going to ask, they had a show on Broadway, and didn't they have a movie about her, too?
Oh, yes, had a movie. Yes, that's right, yes, had quite a movie about her. And she was quite a character, you know. She was one of the great characters of that, in fact, the greatest of that era.
In what respects, Mr. Allen?
Well, she was a very sharp type of a person, and she made everybody love her. I mean, she just hello circle when they come in on. The fellas just bowed to her, and they just loved the girl, and nobody could close her for long enough, you know, to amount to anything. So they just gave her a trying, and she kept on, of course, until she passed away. Then, of course, Max Hayes picked up her contract there and took this show and put it in the vaudeville. He took all the characters and got his own show. And of course, I got the part of the tenor, romantic tenor in it. And I played that for a couple of years, and of course, was pretty well worn out with it when I got this friend of mine into New York. And I was way up in the coal field there, playing about 5 shows a day, and the show was 2 hours in length, and it was a sensational show. A few blackouts, you know, it was a little spicy in ways, and people would come to see it.
Was Texas Gallon, was she a beautiful woman?
Well, she was not a really beautiful one, but she had a lot of things about her. Her mannerisms and all were delightful. I just loved the woman person. I couldn't help it, like everybody else, you know.
She just had that certain...
Someone come to me, you know, and I go into the place, she said, hello there, sucker, and then she'd come over and put her arm around you, God bless you, you know, and just loved you to death and made you feel like you were... and of course, in those days, if you wanted to go to those places, that's where you went. You went to Texas Gallon because you felt safe there.
This was back at the Prohibition era.
That is right, yeah.
And but they still had the drinks at that time.
Oh yes, they had their serving the drinks. They didn't, of course, you couldn't buy drinks and liquor. Naturally, it was awful to have liquor, and you didn't have any saloons or anything like that. He just got the bootleg liquor. That's all.
Ben, did you get into network radio at this time, or did you stay on Broadway?
No, I didn't. I went up into with this Texas Gallon show up and all through the coal fields. We played up through the coal fields. Of course, we played the low circuit about 12 different times, which is a guaranteed 12 weeks at a time. In New York, it was 12 weeks around 12 theaters. And we go up into Pennsylvania and New Jersey and through those places. And I was way up in Pottsville.
Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
I was in Pottsville, and I came in about 1 o'clock from playing 5 shows that day, and I was a worn-out person. Well, back in 1925, my father passed away here at the home, and I had just I came here from Kentucky. I was down in election at that time, and I came here for his funeral. And after I got a wire about it, and I'd been here just 2 weeks before, and I was so worried about wires, and every time I'd get a wire after that, I was a little afraid of wires, you know.
Yes, you mean a telegram?
Yeah, that's right, telegrams. And so I got this wire, and I said, oh, what is it? Will you please read it for me? I was just kind of afraid. And she said, well, I will, thank you. And she said, it's New York. Well, that helped me. Of course, I had nobody in New York. And where I said, I found out through a variety of where you are and playing. It said, thanks for getting me the job. He said, he wants you to get yourself a good week's rest because you're going to give on next Wednesday morning at 10:30 the audition for the first staff artist for CBS New York. I have become the head engineer. And, of course, that was a pretty happy situation for me. And I had a tremendous time getting out of that show because you had to get out honorably, you know. And I had 13 seasons all in the show. I said I had 7 with Harry, but I had others beside that. I had 13 seasons in the show. And I had to, of course, go to a little lawyer there and pay him $10 and get him to say that I was bothering my heart, you know, some of the pistol smuggler. They shot a pistol off a lot, and he said, well, that's bothered your heart, so I'm going to get you out of there. So that's the way you do it in New York, and you get out honorably by doing those things, you know. And which I did, and of course I went on and to give the audition, and then gave the show, which I auditioned, gave that show that night at 7:30, and that's where I started with CBS as the first artist employed by them.
Well, now, just what did you have to do? Did you have a daily show or what?
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you, Max, there were many times when I had to do, one time on 1932 on Christmas morning, at 5:30 in the morning, Christmas Day morning, I started just back of my home on Riverside Drive on Western Avenue, at 5:30 and did a show in a man's home. You see, we had a lot of home shows hooked up in those days. And I started there, and I ended up that day at my own program with a nocturne program with Ann Leaf at the organ down at the old Fairmont Theater. I ended up there at 2 o'clock, and I had performed 18 live programs that one day.
18 live programs?
Indeed, that is true, my friend.
That's...
And, of course, those are the things I see. I had 2 nervous breakdowns in trying to build that system, but I was called upon to do it, and I did it.
Where were you featured as the singing tenor, Ben Alley?
Well, yes, as the romantic tenor of the air, and yes, Ben Alley, the romantic tenor. And I had a great audience there through the years, and I'm happy about it. I look back today and just wonder how I did it all, because I tell you, I've climbed an awful lot of stairs.
During this, that was really the heyday of radio, the really beginning of radio.
That is it, yes, that's right. I tell you, Mayor Walker and I, and...
Mayor Walker was the former mayor of New York.
He was a big boy up there, and he was a great and marvelous fellow. He and I were 2 of the first artists, people who made the first television test for CBS. Of course, you couldn't see much at that time. You could only see our figures. You couldn't tell who we were, but we were the first 2 to be televised on CBS.
Well, what year was that, Ben?
That's 1930, 32, between 31 and 32.
And that was the first time that TV
right.
was tried out?
That's right, trying to have television. And they could see our forms, but they couldn't tell who we were.
Mayor Walker was the suave mayor of New York City. Wasn't he married to the movie star Betty Compton?
That's right, yes, indeed. And he was an amazing man. Everybody loved him. And he did more for New York probably than any one man besides maybe for the Earl of the Garden.
What type of reaction did you get from doing this first TV show in about 1932?
Well, of course, now this wasn't put on the air, you see.
It was.
This wasn't on. It wasn't on there. See, it was their first tests of the machinery of CBS television. See, and it's quite a long time before they came around. You see, to be a reality.
Did you stay with CBS for any length of time?
I stayed with CBS 8 years. Yes. 8 years. 8 years. Then, of course, I went out into the country and headlined the theaters and some big hotels for a while. Then, of course, in 1935, my mother was sick, and I came home and stayed here 6 months with her. She was in
Was that down in Kentucky?
No, it was right here in St. Albans.
In St. Albans?
Yes, we lived here for all those years. Yes, it's been a long time.
Well, Ben, going back a while ago, you say you were in Pottsville and traveling the circuit like Lowe's Circuit and Pantages.
Well, it wasn't too much of Pantages. That was kind of going out, and Pantages wasn't quite big enough at this time because they only had Lowe's at this time, you see, which was actually really open around New York. We didn't have the Keith Circuit had pretty much closed up, at that time.
Yeah, well, Lowe's, was that more or less a vaudeville circuit?
Well, yes, I'll tell you, it was the theatrical circuit. See, it was the Lowe's theaters, the picture theaters. And you see, there was no vaudeville. When I first went into New York, by the way, I'll tell you this, too, which I hadn't said before. When I went into New York, I was supposed to be quite a good man in the French operas, and my French was supposed to be excellent. And I went there to audition for the opera. Well, of course, comes along this radio business, and everything was pushed back. As you may recall, the Metropolitan Opera was closed for 7 years. There, it was closed. And every machine, playing machine, piano, and everything else, organ, everything else was pushed in the corner. Everything gathered dust, and I could tell every morning what the hit would be that week because when I get a cab duel from Riverside Drive over to CBS, over by the cathedral, I could tell the hit of the week because the cab driver would be whistling it.
Is that right?
And you could tell what the hit would be because the cab driver would probably be humming it or whistling it.
Yes, well, the cab drivers are known for quite philosophers, and they know politics and just about everything.
Yeah, it's the truth, they do. They're remarkable men in New York. I just love them. They're great and wonderful to me in many ways. I was in quite a few scrapes in which they helped me out great, those men. And they knew me, and if they didn't know me, they could in a second, they could tell who I was because they thought I was sincere,
Ben, I know that you've had association like Ziegfeld Follies. Did you have any close association with the Follies or not?
No, not at all. John Steele was a fellow who was about the last one of those lyric tenors who did much with the Follies, remember him, John Steele?
The name comes back.
They had a few, and I lived right at 101 West 5 South. I had a beautiful apartment there, right at the Ziegfeld Theater for a long time. And of course, they had a few shows there after in the 30s, but they never amounted to a great deal, and they never seemed to feature many romantic tenors in those days. Seemed like it went to sopranos and people like that in those days.
What about Earl Carroll Vanities? They were comparable too.
Well, they were yes, but they weren't as those are pretty well fading out. Now you watch it, you'll see they were pretty well fading because they didn't amount to a great deal after the years when I went into New York. The Vanities didn't. In fact, I had some relations with some of the people who were in those shows, and they had a hard time making it in those years, in the 30s and 32 and 3 and 4 and 2.
That was all. That was back in the Depression years too, wasn't it?
That's right. Yes, indeed. And let me tell you, those apple lines, my friend, was something to see. Well, I could tell you one thing, by the way, about this, the hard times I had when I went into New York in the middle of the summer. And I was off. It was the worst time in the world to go, and I had headlines from every big newspaper everywhere. I had won a scholarship to Dudley Buck, a local scholarship to him in Texas. And I had done everything, and almost as one could do. I had the picture on the front page of the big paper, Cincinnati places, and I took it up to the fellows up there, and they said, "Oh, that's marvelous." I was just wonderful. I said, "This is New York, though. That doesn't mean a thing here." So, it was pretty hard. I got 2 or 3 jobs for $25 a piece for singing in the chorus of some of the light operas they put on NBC before I even got a break for CBS,
Yes.
But along about the time that the Lindbergh child was kidnapped, I was an unhappy time for me. I was living on Riverside Drive. I had just taken over Gene Austin's beautiful apartment there. He went out on the road, and he wasn't. He was a great, of course, on records, but he didn't do very much in radio, and he got on the road. And I took over his apartment, and so I had this little old steamer truck I'd had this way back in 1915, and I carried it all the way around with me. Well, when my father passed away, I went back to Lexington, Kentucky, and there I had an awful lot of hand mail from this WHAS deal I told you about,
Yes.
And I don't know, I was unhappy there. I didn't fool with that at all, and I just went to the church where I was directing this choir, and I said to the pastor, I said, "I've just got to go. I just can't stay any longer, and I'm going to Cincinnati because I want to get away." And I was just unhappy. And so I got out and got away from there fairly and squarely, and took my little road trunk and took it away and went on over and took it all the way to New York with me. So after I was safe in New York and in the entertainment world and making pretty big money in those days, what we call big money in those days would be, well, $2,500 is a lot of money in those days, and I made it here and there. And, of course, I had all kinds of record programs. By the way, I've just gotten a few of my records, too, from there.
Oh, I was just wondering.
Yes.
Did you record? Or did you record?
Oh, yes. I recorded for Columbia and Victor and for Perfect.
Gee, I wish I had one to put on now.
Well, let me tell you something, my friend. I've got about 8 or 9 of them here. I'll send up one day to you, bring up to you, and let you play them on the air as you will.
I certainly would be more happy to do that.
And, of course, Mac, that these won't sound like what you hear today because it sounds more like a woman probably than a man in a way, but it naturally is me. And, the recording that day was not what it is today.
Well, how was the recording? You just go into one big speaker or what?
Yes, just one big speaker is all you had, yes, that's all. And, of course, you didn't have what you've got today at all. It was... You hear McCormick and Cruz and all those people, and they sound really, really way up yonder.
Yes.
In fact, they sound in many ways much even higher than I do. But I'm not ashamed of it because I've tried to listen. I didn't know what I was doing, frankly, those days. I was just having a big time, making some money and making a lot of friends.
Sure.
And enjoying life like a fellow does when he's on the way up without even trying. And I don't know how I got up because I didn't try hard. I was willing to wash dishes, set tables, and dig dishes, do one thing to get up in the musical world, but I don't know just how I got there. I didn't have any definite plan. I mean, people would hear me say, "Well, here's a fellow's got something, let's get him," and that's the way it happened, and just bang, bang, bang.
Did you ever get to meet Caruso or McCormick?
McCormick was one of my dearest friends. I never met Caruso. He was died before I got there,
Tell us a little bit about McCormick now.
Well, I tell you, I knew him through Cincinnati and through Kentucky and around the country. I used to go around and hear him all the time, and of course he was my favorite, and I loved him in many ways. I tried to do the things that he did.
He was a tenor.
Yes, he was Irish lyric tenor, and of course he's the fellow who came over here and made those millions and millions upon millions, and he was, to me, one of the great ones of all time. And by the way, when I was called the bluegrass tenor in Cincinnati on WSAI, people swore by the tens of thousands that it was John McCormick, and they said, well, how can they afford to have him down here in Cincinnati? So that's a pretty big compliment, I consider, and of course I loved him, and of course I would always go and hear him when he was coming here where I would be, and he was a generous and a very wonderful fellow with his affection for me, and he heard me a couple of times, and he said, well, he said, you've got a beautiful, beautiful voice, sir, and he said, you'll make a lot of people happy with it, he said, as I'm trying to do, and he was a gracious and very wonderful man. I loved him very much, and I'd see him on Fifth Avenue maybe 2 or 3 times a week. We'd stop and chat a couple of minutes, and I'd be on my way to work, of course, and he was, at that time, he was not retired, but he went up to Boston, and they put him on the air up there, but he didn't make it up there, because his voice was pretty well worn out, and he started to sing a little on the flat side, and of course, Baldwin had to, of course, to take him off the air, and of course, I bawled like a child when he took him off, because I was broken-hearted that he would have to go on the air and sing.
He was your favorite.
Yes.
Ben, well, let me ask you, why is it today we do not hear lyrical tenors? It doesn't seem to, you don't seem to hear them anymore.
Well, I tell you, Mr. McPherson, this is a sad part of all. Now, you know what the music trend has been since the past 15, 20 years. It just hasn't been to the cultured side. The fellow now, Bing, bless his heart, is a dear friend of mine, Bing Crosby. Bing.
Well, by the way, just recently I had Bob Crosby on. He was in
did
town.
you? Yeah, I saw he was there. He's a very fine boy. I like Bob a lot.
If I known you were here, I certainly would have brought him around.
He wouldn't have been nice. I'd love that. Well, anyway, Bing, of course, he came up there and got a great build-up, and he couldn't take for a long time, but finally got on. His brother Everett, of course, put him across finally. And of course, by the way, Everett, he died not too long ago. I sent a word about him, and he was a wonderful fellow. Bing had a boo-boo-boo, you know, and it was a style, and they said, well, he never took any lessons, but he had a wart in his vocal cords, and everybody now, I see one of these other boys, this colored boy thing, he's got a wart in his vocal cords now. What his name is?
Oh,
the golden boy?
Sammy Davis.
Yeah, he says he's got a wart, and he's going to have it taken out of his vocal cords. Well, you see, that's what you got. They say, well, we were a freak because we never had any lesson, but we a wart on my vocal cords made me sing. And Kate Smith, of course, never had to have too many lessons. Kate was a great and marvelous woman. I loved her.
Who was that now?
Kate Smith. She was a great wonderful girl. She came up about 2 years after I did. They started around 3:30 on the air in the afternoons there at CBS, and she came up. She could go on the stage, and she didn't have to sing. She just do a little dance, and she had it made. That girl did.
She still sings well too.
Oh yeah, she does indeed, and I'm very proud of her. She's a wonderful girl.
Ben, we have a few more minutes. You were here in Charleston. You married a lady from on Cabin Creek, didn't you?
Well, no, she's not from Cabin Creek. She's from actually in Salem, West Virginia. And she taught 31 years here in Cabin Creek and in the Kanawha schools here in Kanawha County too.
What was her name?
Well, she was Maud Morris as a young lady. She was, by the way. She's from, I think, yes, Salem. Yes, she's sitting right here now. Yes, she's from Salem, and her name was Maud Morris. And of course, she was, wait a minute.
She taught?
Yeah, she was Mrs. Maud Bolte at the time I met her.
And she taught on Cabin Creek?
Yeah, she taught there many years, and you should hear her experiences. They're great and marvelous. And of course, she's a great friend and admirer of yours and your family, you know.
Yes, well, you give her my best.
I certainly will. She's sitting here smiling right now beside me. You ought to see her. She's as pretty as ever. And,
well, I know that.
Most dedicated school teacher. And she's just finished 44 years of teaching, and she is a reading consultant to the great junior high school in Hialeah today. And the entire school is built around the figure of this wonderful woman. Frankly, it is.
Well, that was so nice. Now you are settled. Have you given up teaching? Or not?
No, I do some teaching. I help some churches down there. You know, I'm more or less retired, and I'm a disabled veteran, and 100% disabled. And of course, I'm on Social Security, and see, I'm limited in what I can do. So I go ahead around and take a car, and she teaches, and I go around and help and take the people out who can't help themselves. And we're dedicated to doing a service for the people who can't do for themselves down there. We're quite proud that we feel that way about life, and we find many gates open to us to help and do for people.
Well, it's so nice of you to grant some time to our program tonight, and I certainly would like to see you before you go back to Florida.
Well, we're going to make that possible. I know that we're going to want to see you too, by the way, and I'm going to have several things to do around the city while I'm here, and I know if anybody would want to contact me, they can contact me down here at brother Fred's.
That's Ben Alley's home.
And that's Fred Alley's home, my brother. It's our old home, but Fred owns it now. And by the way, Fred's in the hospital, as you know.
Yes, and you're staying at his home out in St. Albans.
That's right, yes. The telephone's in Fred's name, and if anybody wants me to sing for anything where I could do anything for them, I'd be happy to do it, because the Lord's left me a pretty good deal.
How is your voice?
The best it's been in many, many years.
It is?
Yes, and I'm going to sing in the St. Albans Baptist Church here Sunday. Then right after that, I'm going out to the Hilltop Church and singing for a young little fellow out there. He's a dear friend and pupil of mine, little Jackie Dunlap. He's the director of the choir at Hilltop Church, and we have a all-day deal out there. So the next Sunday, I'm going out into Allen Creek and sing out there for my friend Mr. and Mrs. Miller. There were people in the Ben Alley Club and the choir. I'm going to sing for them at the morning and evening service, and so I've just got many things to do.
Well,
I go around and sing for the people and love it.
Well, you've lived a full life, Ben, and thank you for devoting so much time on the program tonight.
Well, it's my great pleasure to listen. I listen to you all the time. I always have, and I think you do a wonderful work, and I appreciate very deeply saying hello to all my friends in Kanawha Valley, and send my love to everyone around that here.
That was a repeat broadcast from October the 1st, 1968, a program we did with the late Ben Alley. We repeated it tonight because we'd had several requests to hear Ben again. As you heard in the program, Ben was a famous tenor, the golden voice tenor in the early days of radio. He first got his start on WHAS Louisville, Kentucky. Then he moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, then into New York City to be on the stage and on radio and TV. He made his first overseas broadcast to Honolulu, and then also he made the first TV test program for CBS. He was a golden voice tenor of the early days of radio, the late Ben Alley, who passed away early this year. So we hope you enjoyed this chat we had with a wonderful man, Ben Alley, whose brother lives in St. Albans, and he is a West Virginian who did so well in show business way back in the 20s. We hope you enjoyed the program. His name, the late Ben Alley, who died in Florida the early part of this year. Thank you for listening, and good night to all.